Hi and welcome. We're excited to have you here tonight or this morning, wherever you are in the world. And we have some institutions that are excited to engage with you on studying internationally at an international university. So tell us where you're from in the chat. Let us know where you're dialing into, and make sure you like our video on the YouTube account as well, if you can see it there. We're excited that you're here. Let's see, where are you from? Jabril, it looks like. Let us know where you're from. And while you let us know where you're coming in from, we'll give you a few important stats about getting your degree overseas. 65% of employers consider experiences overseas really important for recruitment. And so if you are interested in the employment after your degree, which is what everyone's concern is, then know that you become even more employable. Hi, Gil from Costa Rica. We're excited that you're here. And then if you're an American student with us today, did you know that studying abroad can sometimes cost up to 50% less than studying in the US? So if affordability is something you're concerned about when you look at college, then this is definitely the event for you. And especially on Wednesday when these universities will be present, so that you can ask them questions specifically about affordability for their institution. We will debate these and other amazing personal, professional benefits that studying abroad has in our live session today. So let's get started. We have a few institutions. We will introduce one first. We have Jadon with us from the London Metropolitan University, and he's going to introduce himself, and then we get to see a little excerpt of the university itself. Welcome, Jadon.
Thank you so much, Christy. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. A little bit about me. My name is Jadon Joyner, and I'm going to give you a fun fact first. When the pandemic started, I was actually in China, in Shanghai, living there, and just got out just in the nick of time. So that's a little bit about me, but that's a story for another day. But again, my name is Jadon Joyner. I'm based in Los Angeles, California, and I'm one of the North America reps for London Metropolitan University, also known as London Met for short. And so my job is to help students with anything and everything London Met from who are based in North America. Typically, I work with students who are close, anyone who's west of Chicago, essentially, which is a pretty big range. But any question that students have, any concerns, I'm their go-to person. I'm also one of two representatives in North America. My other person is in the New York area, and she helps students east of Chicago, essentially. And so London Met, we are based in London, of course. We're about 10,000 students, and we have two primary campuses. So one campus is our Holloway Road campus, which houses our human sciences, social sciences, a lot of those types of courses. So you can get your business, your international relations, or something more science-based like chemistry or biomedical science. So that's our Holloway Road campus. And then we also have our Altgate campus, which is typically more of our more artistically inclined majors or courses, as we call them in the UK. You'll get a lot of different lingo between the US, the UK, and really just around the world. And so that's more of our film, architecture, design, interior design, those types of courses, even theater. And so there's so many reasons why you should study at London Met, but I don't want to go into all of them right now. This is going to be a very open conversation. And so I'm going to, we'll go to the video next.
What I love about London Met is it offers diverse courses as well as very multicultural people.
I love London Met because there's a great community of friends among my peers that I study with.
London Met has a real sense of community in the sense that you could just sit in the library and literally make friends with the person next to you that does a completely different course to you and learn so much about not just your course but other courses and build your overall knowledge and understanding of the world.
What I like about London Met is the opportunities you have to create ideas, even to expand businesses. It just starts with an idea. There's always someone else that can support you.
I really like the exposure into the industry that the university gives.
London Met offers some great work opportunities. One of the things that they offered was a mock interview through Credit Suisse. And going to that mock interview prepared me more for my life in investment banking.
On my course, I have very great tutors. I don't feel that they're someone who is above me, so we are in the same level of communication as friends.
It's a lot of different people from different backgrounds. They come and we all come together, and it's like a little family, to be honest.
Awesome. And we also have from Trent University, Bernard Chan, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself and Trent University. Welcome, Bernard. Let us know.
Thank you so much, Christy.
Got started and about the university.
Absolutely. Hola and hello to everyone in the audience. My name is Bernard Chan from Trent University. So I also want to share a fun fact with you before I go further. I was also in Shanghai when COVID hit, and I also left Shanghai in a hurry. So we probably, Jadon and I, we probably met at the airport during that time. But, it has been such a challenging time for everyone. And, we hope that you are keeping well. So once again, my name is Bernard. I'm the Regional International Recruitment Manager here at Trent University in the province of Ontario, Canada. So, just to give you a very quick introduction about Trent, we are a public university in the province of Ontario. We also have 2 campuses and around 11,000 students. So I noticed we do actually have a very similar profile with London Met University, who is also on this call. Now, we are a primarily undergraduate university offering more than 150 program options at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels. We are considered to be the top undergraduate university in Ontario for the last 10 years, as well as Canada's top university for scholarships and bursaries. So I think, when you come to Trent, it is very much about the community that you are joining. We pride ourselves on, both our very ideal size for a public university, as well as the community that we nurture. So I very much welcome you to come to our booth on Wednesday to find out more about Trent, to speak with us, and really see your future at the university. So without further ado, I'll just hand my time back to Christy for our video presentation. Thank you.
Great. Well, that gives you good pictures and video clips of each university. And so let's talk a little bit about what students always want to know. What, from your perspective, are the main benefits of pursuing a degree abroad?
And so I can start us off with that question. I would say that there are a lot of reasons. And if you noticed in our video, one of the things that was mentioned was diversity. And I believe that when you go to a university that is international, you're going to have classmates from all over the world. And that is really going to inform your thinking and inform your thought process and really help you in the long run. The world is becoming increasingly more global, and more interconnected. And so being able to interact with people from all over the world is going to be a huge benefit for you. And what I would also add is you are going to definitely differentiate yourself from a lot of your friends and classmates. I know specifically in North America, all of your friends, 95% of them are going to go to some school in the States. A lot of them will choose even school in their actual state, their same city, something like that. And so you going outside of your state, outside of the country, it's really going to differentiate yourself. Like seeing Canada or seeing London or seeing any of these other countries, it's going to make you stand out. And I think that's a huge benefit along with the diversity.
I totally agree. That's such a great point. And on this question, like I just want to talk a little bit about my own personal background. So I was born in Hong Kong, but I grew up in Singapore. I did my university studies in Australia, Japan, Hong Kong, and Canada. So it is a great privilege to be able to study abroad, but yes, like that is exactly true. You are taking yourself outside of your comfort zone. So really for many students, this might be the first time that you are leaving your family and your friends, going to a new environment. That is really going to help you grow, and not only grow personally, but academically and professionally as well. And I think, from my personal, experiences, it is also about learning to unlearn some of the assumptions and some of the knowledges that you have had before. And that is what, a big thing about interacting with, different nationalities and going into a new environment. That is really going to expose you to different ways of seeing the world, and also seeing how you actually relate to the world around you. Now, but when you go abroad, it is not just about interacting with students of different nationalities. It is also about connecting yourself to the environment, to the land that you are at. For instance, when you come to Canada, when you come to Trent, it is as much about interacting with students who are from around the world. It is also about interactions with students who are here, as well as the indigenous students that we have amidst our campuses as well. So this is just one great opportunity, and the very fact that you are joining this fair today is a great step towards that. So I just want to thank you and congratulate you for being here.
Thank you. Let's talk about money. Everyone's always concerned, and rightly so, about affordability. Is it more affordable to study outside of the United States in an international university?
The short answer is yes, it definitely can be. Specifically for schools in the UK, because that's where London Metropolitan University is based. It can be significantly cheaper, partially because some of the schools in the UK, specifically London Met and some other schools in London, you can get your degree in 3 years for your bachelor's, and you can get your master's in 1 year. And that's the standard. So most students get their bachelor's in 3 years, and most get their master's in 1 year. And so if you just kind of calculate paying for 3 years versus paying for 4 years, there's already going to be a price difference. The other thing is, if you're comparing it to out of state, specifically for our North America students, if you're comparing it to out of state or private options, it's almost always going to be more affordable to go to school out of the country. Now, I will add the caveat that it depends on your lifestyle. So if you do want to you can make your college experience very, very expensive. So for instance, London Met, we are really close to King's Cross Station, which is where the Eurostar is, where you can take the train to Paris in 2.5 hours, and it really connects you to the rest of Europe. You can be that person that goes to Europe every weekend, or goes to Paris every weekend, or goes to Belgium, and flying all over the place, and obviously that'll make your cost of attendance increase. But you can also be on a budget. You'll be a real student that has to go grocery shopping and budgeting, and so you're going to be an adult in a lot of these instances. In a lot of these international spaces, you'll have to grow up in some instances. but that'll really help you save money and then prepare you for life after university. And so again, the short answer is yes, it can be more affordable. Specifically in London, you're only paying for 3 years for the most part in a lot of the universities. And so it really, but it also depends on your lifestyle. You still need to make smart choices.
That's a great point. And like I think the budgeting part is really big because none of us are used to budgeting, especially for, kids coming out of high school. And even like if you ask me now, I'm not an expert in budgeting. It's a process to learn. It is a process to go through. But yeah, I think the answer to this question really is yes and no. From a Canadian perspective, I think, we do offer a very good value proposition in terms of an undergraduate, education, a great undergraduate education for international students. I think compared to most other destinations, especially countries similar to Canada, it is very affordable. So using Trent as an example, our tuition per academic year is slightly under 20,000 American dollars, right? So that is, and all students are charged on a flat rate, which means that it doesn't matter what program you're doing, it doesn't matter how many credits you're doing in a term. Of course, there is a limit. You still pay the same tuition. And all in all, like most of our students, they spend or budget around 30 to 32,000 US dollars per year. But of course, like what Jadon said, if you go traveling and if you go, if you choose to eat out rather than buying groceries and all, and your choices of accommodation and all this can actually, really increase your budget, significantly. So this is something that you have to, take into consideration. Now, but one thing that I want to add to this is that, in Canada, international students also benefit a lot from a flexible work arrangement. So if you want to work part-time, as part of your study permit, you are allowed to work, with certain restrictions. And you also actually benefit from certain tax breaks and credits, either during your education or beyond. So, being a former international student myself in Canada, like I found that, this country, offers international students a pretty good arrangement, that's probably can't find in many other places.
Great. Well, we are attending university to have a degree and then be employed. So talk about the employment perspectives for students that graduate from your institution.
Absolutely. I would say specifically for the UK, it's unbelievable, especially starting in 2021, because there was something called the post-study work visa, now renamed the student or the graduate route visa. And so what that allows is that if a student graduates from a university in the UK, they are eligible to stay and work in the UK for up to 2 years after they graduate. And so in that time, you could technically be looking for a job that entire time, or you could be working for one of the hundreds of international companies that are based in the UK in that time as well. And so it was just brought back in 2021. And one of the things is, as an international student who's studying in the UK, your perspective is incredibly valuable. You're almost like an ambassador coming from your country. And so when people want to know more about what's going on in your country, like what are the market trends there, you're seen as the expert in that environment. And so you, in a lot of instances, are seen as more employable, I would say. And so my partner, who I mentioned, works on the East Coast. She got her master's in the UK, did this visa. She ended up staying for 7 years after graduating. She met her husband over there, and many of her friends are actually still over there in the UK. And so there's definitely a lot of employability options. And then within the university, we have our own career development team and many different resources that will help pair you with the right internship, the right program, so that you will absolutely have amazing career options. Mm-hmm. I believe it's 96% of our students are either employed or continuing their study up to, I think, 6 months after they graduate. And so there are plenty of career options for students. And then that graduate visa has completely changed the game in this last year.
Yeah, so from Trent's perspective, so we do have a very good employment rate. 90 more than 93% of our graduates are employed within 6 months of graduation, and that includes international students. So similar to the UK, like Canada does have a postgraduate work permit program, and what it offers international graduates is that all graduates from Trent and other public universities in Canada, you are eligible to apply for this program once you graduate, and you can remain in the country for 3 years. Working for any organization, company, or you can open your own business in any city or town across the country. Now, there is an immigration pathway attached with this program as well. So as long as you have worked for 1 year, you can apply for an immigration pathway that allows you to become a permanent resident, sorry, in Canada, and that also gives you a potential citizenship pathway as well later on. I think like that's really Canada has no lack of opportunities. In our city in Peterborough, this is the top city for new immigrant businesses. For students who might be entrepreneurial, you might want to start, your own startup here. The university in past years, we have produced transformative careers either on a national or international level. So Dr. James Obinsky, who founded Doctors Without Borders, he was from Trent. And our former Minister of Parliament, Maria Monsef, also from Trent, her family came to Canada as refugee claimants from Afghanistan in the 1990s, and she came to Trent, did a biology and psychology degree, and she went on to represent our, Peterborough, and she was also a former minister in, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet. So really, there's a whole lot of opportunities out there. Does anyone of you like to become the next Prime Minister of Canada? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would even add to that. Yeah, there's so many fantastic alumnuses or alumni who come from these universities. If you keep up with the UK just government system, the current mayor of London, he is a London Met grad as well. He studied law at London Met. So yeah, if you're looking to be the mayor of London,
amazing man.
You should think about Trent and London Metropolitan University.
Well, let's give students an opportunity to ask questions. So students, write in your questions in the chat box so that Bernard and Jadon can answer those questions. And we'll give you a few seconds to do that. And then while they write their questions, both of you tell us what you feel like the best thing about your destination and your institution is.
You're asking really, really difficult questions because there's so many great things. I would say London Met's commitment. I talked a little bit about diversity before, but I think London Met's commitment to diversity is. I feel like London Met is a little bit ahead of the game in a lot of instances because one of the things we want to do is we want to make the university accessible to everyone. And so our scores are very, very much reachable. English level scores are very much reachable because we want so many people to experience this kind of education in a city like London, which is ranked the #1 city for international study in the world. Because you're going to get people from, again, everywhere in Europe, everywhere in Asia, Africa, South America, North America. You're going to get all of these people who want to study in this place, and it's just going to be this melting pot of knowledge. When I think about the diversity at London Met, we have students from over 120 different countries represented on our campus. 93% of all of our students, staff, and faculty come from at least one underrepresented group in higher education. And I also think about most recently, we had a student who was coming from Afghanistan in the last month. And we had to work really, 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 really hard with him and the UK government to get him over. But we're very happy to say that he's now studying at London. And I think it's that kind of commitment to diversity. I think it's a mirror of the university's commitment to their students and wanting them to have an amazing education for everyone, because as I mentioned before, the more we can all learn together, I believe it'll help us solve some of the more complex problems of today. And then just on top of that, you're right there in the heart of it. London, like I said, #1 city, and you'll be able to interact with all these different people, all these different countries. I think I had a fantastic experience in college, but I didn't even know that this was an option when I was applying. And I wish I had, because this is fantastic. And so I think just that diversity, it's a reflection of their just commitment to their students as well. And so I think that's one of the best things about London Met, I would say.
Awesome. Bernard, what about Trent? What's the best thing about your destination?
Just one word, community. I think when you go to a school, it is about the people around you. It is about your classmates. It is about your faculty, but it is also about the community that you are in. And I think, and this really connects to the idea of diversity as well, because of the people that you are meeting, you are getting a diverse, education in every shape and form. Learn a new paradigm, learn a new way of seeing the world, learn, about, like we at the university, like we have, similar to London Met, actually 120 plus nationalities represented, but at the same time, we also have the highest, visibility of Indigenous students in Canada as well. And this is something that offers students a very valuable, experience. Personally, it was my interactions with Indigenous students and the community that actually transformed, what I thought about myself, how I saw the world around me, and basically my whole educational experience came to be defined by that. So that is going to be a big part, your interactions with your community.
That's great. We've had 2 questions, so if you can maybe answer each one in 1 or 2 sentences about scholarship, but also about connecting from the airport to the university when you arrive. So that would really be sort of like support. What kind of support does the university offer to students, and then scholarships or bursaries in Canada?
Yeah, no problem. So I'll start with the scholarship question. So first, we do offer international scholarships for just international students. They're kind of always being introduced and worked on. And so there are many scholarships for international students. But one thing that's also really fantastic is for US students, we also accept US financial aid and veterans benefits. And so that also can be a huge help to the cost of attending the university. And then the last thing I would say about full scholarships and scholarships in general is there are so many scholarships connected to the university and not connected to the university that students can apply to. So one thing you probably can't tell from me sitting here is that I'm pretty tall. I'm actually about 6'5", and I have pretty big feet. There are scholarships for people who have big feet. Maybe you have like certain type, maybe you have like red hair. There's scholarships for people who have red hair. There's scholarships for just about anything. A lot of them are just cash scholarships. You just need to write an essay. And so to answer your question, London Met does have international scholarships for US students. The full scholarships, a lot of those are for the graduate students. So if you're trying to get your postgraduate degree, but then again, there are scholarships for just about anything. So be on the lookout. Just kind of, I usually tell students to look at scholarships.com, or if you go to your favorite search engine and type in scholarships and something about you, maybe your nationality, a language, there's bound to be almost an endless number of scholarships for you. And so please apply to those. A really quick story. My wife, her sister was applying to college, and my wife kind of challenged her to apply to a different scholarship every week. And she got a lot of them. And so that would be my challenge to you, kind of see if you can find a different scholarship, because it's all going to help. None of it will be in vain.
Scholarship for big feet. That's amazing. Is there anything for like for 5'4", people who are 5'4"?
There has to be.
There has to be. There's scholarships for everything. Type it in,
Yes.
scholarship 5'4". Something will probably pop up.
Yes, and that is a great point. Like like from the Canadian perspective, we do offer university scholarships. And I think most students will be applying to our Trent International scholarships. It is up to 108,000 Canadian dollars over 4 years, so that pretty much covers all your tuition. And you can combine that with a lot of scholarships, other scholarships like entrance scholarships that Trent offers, and what Jadon said, outside scholarships as well through outside organizations, banks. Now, just be aware that when you are applying to scholarships that are external, just make sure that you read the fine prints, because there might be certain conditions, whether there is a bond or something like that. Scholarships usually don't have to be repaid, but in some cases, you might have to work for the company, which isn't always a bad thing if it's offered by a company, and there might be other conditions like that as well. So yeah, but please, apply for scholarships, proactively, whether it is through the university or through other external organizations, because you never know what you are going to get. The only thing that we can guarantee you is that you will not get a scholarship if you don't apply for it.
That's right.
Right. Exactly.
And in terms of admissions, give a quick, overview of what's required for students to apply.
Yeah, absolutely. And so generally, we're looking for around a 3.0 GPA. For people who are taking tests, if you would like to take those tests, we are test optional. But for the SATs, looking for around 1100. For the ACTs, around a 25. And then for our AP scores, around a 3. And so those are generally the entry requirements. And one thing that's really great about the UK is if you hit those entry requirements, you're pretty much in, because we are not like a lot of the US universities. It's like all this other stuff. Like they're looking at your grades, your scores, your writing, your teacher recommendations, your extracurricular activities. Though we do ask for a personal statement, we're really mainly focused on your grades and your scores. And if you choose not to submit your scores, our test optional option is writing a paper, essentially, that's kind of related to what you're interested in studying, and then submitting a teacher recommendation. And so, again, we're not trying to make it difficult for students to have this amazing opportunity and amazing education. And so that's what those are our general entry requirements.
I think we do employ a very similar approach here as well. Like, it's also the fact that yeah, right. Like
we're right here. We were in Shanghai at the same time. This is crazy.
This is crazy, but small world. But yeah, we do admit students, and basically we just look at the results as well. So your results will be what matters about getting yourself into the program. We do admit students on a 3.0 average GPA or 70% average Canadian score. I do see students from other countries here, like in Latin America, for instance, like in Mexico, students are expected to have an 80% in their baccalaureate, and we have equivalent scores. So basically, it is your results, your academic performance that get you into the program. But at the same time, if you are going to apply for scholarships, that's where your reference letters, your essays, and all these other, metrics come into play. So that's basically two parts to that. So that's what we have here at Trent.
Well, we have two questions that have one-word answers. So think about a one-word answer to international students who come here really love.
One-word answer. I'm gonna say travel. And I feel like I've talked about it a couple of times, but I think just a reminder, you are really right in the center, not in the heart of Europe, but just it's one of the most like popular cities in all of Europe. I remember my wife, she got her degree in the UK, her master's degree, and I went over to visit her. And I remember we were able to get round trip tickets, like round trip flights to Ireland for $17, like the whole trip. And then we also got trips to Malta. We were able to travel to Malta for less than $30. And no, it's not always going to be that cheap, but you can. It's almost like traveling state to state when you're traveling in Europe. And so that's one thing students really love. And I would also probably still the Artsburg community, just you being able to interact with so many different people and really enjoy that experience because people, they want to be there. And because in a lot of instances, people could have chosen other cities. There's a lot of amazing cities or amazing universities all over the world. But these students chose to be like here in London at London Met. And I feel like that community and that travel is one thing that students really, really love when they get to London Met.
For me, it has to be relationships with your peers, with your professors, with the members of the community around you. This is really what is going to define your experience at Trent. But to be honest, it's going to define your experience at any university around the world. When you go to university, it is not just about going to classes, because your connections with people around you, that is going to give you knowledge, that is going to give you the opportunities that might guide you to a specific area or interest that might actually surprise you. Personally, my undergraduate degree was in chemistry. But because of the relationships that I had studying abroad, that led me to an unexpected career in international education. And I remained so after 15 years. God, I'm old. Wow, yeah, but it is as much about the education as it is about relationships as well. So that really connects back to what we were all talking about, the diversity of peoples and how important is that, the diversity of experiences, and it's all going to lead you to a place that might be expected or not, right? So that's a very long one-word answer.
Very good. No, very good insight. If you have a student that needs to present an English test, what English tests are good options for them to take and present?
Yeah, so we have a couple. So we do the IELTS and we do Pearson and TOEFL. Those are and we also do Cambridge as well. For our TOEFL, generally looking for around a 72. From around a 51, and for the IELTS, we're looking for an average score of a 6. So those are. I'll keep that answer short. Those are our English requirements.
And likewise, we do accept, TOEFL, IELTS, KO, Duolingo, Pearson. So there's a whole list of tests that we accept. But for students who do not meet our language requirements, don't worry, because we also have a Trent ESL pathway, a really good pathway that prepares you both for language acquisition, that builds your language abilities, but at the same time it prepares you for your undergraduate education as well. Some students, if they don't meet our language requirements, they will enter our ESL program, and at the same time you can earn undergraduate credits through our ESL program. So for the last 2 levels, you basically earn up to 60% of your first year credits, and that's going to really help you either have kind of like a shorter undergraduate program, or you can just spread out your courses throughout the years and have a lighter course load. So we do have all these options available. Just to give you an example, like our TOEFL requirements are 86 for the IBT. IELTS would be 6.5, no band lower than 6. But again, if you don't have these test results, you can always look at our Trent ESL pathway.
And we have a question about studying physical science. Talk about your programs related to physical science, if those are good options for you and your institution.
Absolutely. So we have over I didn't mention this before, but we have over 200 different undergraduate and postgraduate programs at London Met. And so physical science is one of our big areas. And so usually we have a whole section on our website. So if you type in londonmet.ac.uk, you can find all of our course listings. I know the one that I've always been, I'm talking to the university about it, and one thing that we want to try to add this program is engineering. And so we have more computer science and computer-based courses, but we don't have more physical engineering. So I know that's something that a lot of students are always asking about, and that's why, hopefully, I don't know if Trent University has it, but there's a whole bunch of other international universities that have engineering courses that you should consider. But we have a ton of really amazing physical science courses. Specifically, we have a super lab, which is one of the largest science labs in all of Europe, where scientists from all over Europe actually come to study and do research at our super lab at London Met. And so physical science is definitely a big piece of our course listing.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel like we are twins or something like that. Yeah, we don't actually offer many engineering courses either. Like, I think, in terms of the physical sciences, yeah, like, we do have computer engineering, software engineering, computer science, physics and astrology, astronomy, not astrology, astronomy. But one thing, like, I'm sure many of you are thinking about, what programs to enter, and you see that, different universities, including ours, we have a wide range of programs to select from. Now, I think, when you choose a program, go in with, the expectation that, this is your program, but, you may end up changing your program. You might end up finding new interests. Your program that you apply to may not necessarily define your career prospects at the end of your undergraduate studies. And I think at the undergraduate level, it is very important for you to realize that it is as much about your program of studies as it is about getting an interdisciplinary perspective. There's many opportunities for you to reach across disciplinary boundaries and to learn something about a different program. So, VJ, you can be taking computer science, but at the same time, you might be minoring in mathematics and doing an option in visual arts if you want to do that. I can tell you, and I think, we are in agreements that employers in the future are looking for students who are adaptable to different situations and who have these interdisciplinary perspectives so that you can work across different areas. And this is something that is very important for the future. And a lot of your undergraduate experience would be to really, it's not a jobs training program, first of all, is to really, build you up to, to help you fulfill whatever career aspirations you have, in the future. And the question that Karen asked, how about internships, or working while at universities? And this is, this connects back to this whole interdisciplinary perspective, right? Every university, and we do offer all sorts of different experiential learning opportunities, not just internships or part-time opportunities. You can do research with your professors. You can go on field trips. We have students going to Belize or Taiwan to do different, projects. You can work with the community. Get out of the classroom. When you graduate in 3 or 4 years, you're not going to remember first-year accounting, probably. Right? You are going to remember the amazing experiences you had working in the field with your professors and making those relationships there. You are going to probably remember that internship you had at this amazing company, which might end up to be the company that's, you pursue your career in, right? So we do guarantee every student such an opportunity and make sure that, you really get out of the classroom. Yeah. So, yeah.
I would just second, third, and fourth that. I would add with specifically with the internships. One of the things that's really great specifically about London Met, and then I would say also about a lot of the other international universities, is the professors, or we call them tutors, at London Met. they're not people who are just career academics, where they've just spent all of their time in the classroom. Because I've had some teachers like that where they have PhDs on top of PhDs, but it's all everything they know is in academia, which is there is a lane for that, and that's not bad, but it's also really nice to have teachers and professors who have real world experience. So you're being taught architecture, or better yet, you're being taught business by someone who has had multiple businesses that have succeeded and failed. So everything that they're telling you is going to be very applicable to your situation. And so, yeah, you'll be able to do internships with those teachers and those professors in this international environment. And and there is something that almost can't be explained, but when you are learning something outside of your environment, it just sticks in a different way. So when if you're learning about architecture, and then you visit Italy, it's going to attach differently. You're going to remember it much differently, and I think it sticks more. And so yeah, a lot of these schools have internships, but then also it's cool because when you're working with the professors, they have a real practical world experience in the field.
And this is what a lot of employers will be looking out for when you submit your resume as a fresh graduate. If you have all this under your belt and a diversity of experiences, if I may add, that's really going to help you launch your career. That's going to differentiate your university experience from, your peers. So this is something that is very important.
If you could say one piece of advice to students about, just university in general, what would it be?
I have two pieces. So the one that I always say is it's just travel in general, because I obviously, you guys can tell how valuable I feel travel is. But I feel like that's whether you choose an international university or a domestic one. Like there's so many study abroad opportunities. But the other one I would say is, in this time, I would say breathe, first of all, because I feel like just the whole college admission process can be really taxing and really confusing. But I would say a lot of times these universities have access to students that you can reach out to. There's almost like a chat function. Please talk to the students. A lot of times, let's say if you're interested in business, studying business at London Met, you can find a business student that you can have a one-on-one chat with virtually, or you can chat with them. I guess it would always be virtually. You could type or do something more like Zoom, because they'll really give you the true student experience. Because at the end of the day, we want you to come to the university, but if you talk to the student, they will absolutely give you everything that's going on with the university. And I think that's going to be helpful. And then adding on top of that, don't just go somewhere because your friends go there, because at the end of the day, it's not about your friends. It's about the decision that's best for you and your family.
Yes.
I'll stop there because I can keep going.
That is such an important point. You are going to feel the pressure, right? Because your friends are going to be talking and they'll be like, oh, I'm going to this place. And you're like, should I go to this place or not? So don't base your decision on that. But on the other hand, there is a wealth of information out there. And there are so many options to choose from. Now, keep an open mind. There is no right answer. There is no one answer to where you should go, which university you should join. Whichever place you're going to, make the most out of it, and you're going to have a great journey there. But go with plan ahead, go with your gut instinct now. But it is important to have an open mind. By joining this session, it is part of your planning because you are gathering information, you're hearing from us, right? Now, if you're thinking about going abroad, be prepared, but not 100% prepared. Don't overburden yourself having to know everything before you even leave, because that is really going to pull you back and it's going to make the whole experience really stressful. Just know about 75 to 80% of what you should know, and you're going to get the rest when you arrive there. And know how and when to reach out to support. All of us universities, all of us institutions, we have a great support network consisting of staff and students and counselors and advisors, but the onus sometimes is on you to know how and when to reach out at the appropriate time. So all the resources are here. Now, if you need help, seek for it, ask around, right? And we will definitely help you with it. But yeah, just going back to what I said, don't overburden yourself. You don't have to know everything. Just know the most important points, and then, keep an open mind, and your journey is going to flow from there.
And I kind of want to say one more thing, because I think something you said now and even earlier, whenever you go to a university, specifically an international one, there is a possibility that you're going to be around a whole bunch of people who are like you, and you're going to feel the burden to always hang out with those people. What's really going to enrich your experience is you trying something new and in diving in and interacting with other people of a different community. I found when I was living in China, it was very easy to be with the expats, be with the foreigners, but your experience, or my experience, really began to mature, I would say, and I believe it got exponentially better when I wasn't just interacting with those people, I was interacting with everyone. And I think that will be invaluable to you in any environment you're in. Because that community will still be there for you, but interact with other communities.
It's about getting out of your comfort zone, right? Just trying something that is really different. And just know that things are not going to be smooth sailing all the way. You are going to encounter challenges. You are going to encounter times when you're like, what did I do? What should I do? Should I just, And this is something that every international student goes through, right? And be prepared for it, but don't worry, because all these experiences are going to help you grow. And these are the stories that you are going to remember 10 years, 20 years down the road. I've been in my fair share of trouble, and these are the things that I remember up to this day. And we can just look back and laugh at it. But just have an open mind. You are going to get a great experience, but there's going to be ups and downs.
I think everything you both have said is critical for any student to hear, especially if you're going to study at an international university, but just in general, whether you end up staying where you are or not, really valuable experience. We've had 2 questions about age and stage. So if you have a student that is perhaps in 11th grade, maybe has not graduated from secondary school, what options do they have? Is that an option?
So the question is, if they're 11th grade and they haven't graduated from high school yet,
would they be considered?
Let me get back, because I would need to double check on that. So please come to the booth, and I will have an answer, a better answer for you. One of the things, again, we're trying to make the university accessible to everyone, and we kind of have flexible start dates. We have September, January, but then we have students of so many different ages. So we have students who are, just barely 18. Then we have, one of our famous students, he's like 70. So the biggest barrier, I would say, to being a little bit younger is there are certain qualifications that you need in terms of just like people looking after you if you're under a certain age. So if you're under 18, then you need to have it's not an advisor. I'm trying to think of the word.
Guardian, like a guardianship.
Thank you. Yeah, like a guardian to make sure they're taking care of you while you're there. So that's usually the biggest entry barrier of entry if you're a little bit younger on the younger side, I would say.
If I may add to that, for Trent, we don't actually admit students from the 11th grade, if your high school curriculum is a 12-year system. So I know some universities offer like a foundations year program. Like at this moment, we don't actually offer such an option. So you do have to complete your high school qualifications. Now, that being said, I'm also aware that in some countries, I believe like Peru, the high school system or the schooling system is 11 years, and you graduate with a secondary school certificate, in which case we would actually accept that because we go with the qualification, not the number of years. So that is, that's the difference that you have to be aware of. So one is early admission, which, we don't offer, and I believe many North American universities don't. But don't take my word for it. But the other thing is, if your curriculum is 11 years, then once you get the qualification, then you should be able to get entry. And like we've seen this with Peruvian students in the past, and we do have other curriculums that are quite similar in Latin America and other parts of the world. Yeah, so that happens. But do check out, we have all our admission requirements and criteria, on all our websites. So that is, probably the first place that you should go to before you submit your application. Just make sure that the qualifications that you have, fulfill the requirements. And of course, being younger students, there is the guardianship issue, and there might be certain requirements when you apply for the study permit or the student visa. When you apply, so there might be certain other conditions. But yeah, like from the university's perspective, yeah, we do admit younger students, older students, and we don't say you're too young to come. You can't. We look at generally the qualifications.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, you can ask. Oh, go ahead, John.
Just something really quickly, because you said foundation year. We also do, since most of our courses are 3 years, we do have a foundation year, and that's just 4 years. So people who fall under that 3.0 GPA, something that's even closer to a 2, they would probably qualify for that foundation year. And then that's just an extra year to help bring them up to speed with their classmates. I just wanted to add that.
Awesome. Well, you can ask students, both Jadon and Bernard, as well as 30 other universities will be present. You can ask all of these questions to them on Wednesday, and their universities' links are on our chat, but also the registration for the fair this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern will be available to you, and you can ask questions. There's mini sessions on like how to apply to the UK, what is the college experience like overseas, and so many more things. Why there's value to a creative degree overseas. So it's not something you're going to want to miss. So bring your friends, register so that you can have time to ask them these specific questions. Even the question about, pairing majors together, they'll both be there. You can ask those specific questions. So take advantage of the fact that these guys and 30 plus more universities are there for you. So register at the link that has been given, and we will see you again on Wednesday, and look forward to connecting with these guys, the dream team, I personally think, and 30 more. We thank you for your time. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.